Hi, my name is Kaya. Welcome to my presentation class book, a case study of a university English class sharing their experiences to enhance learning with peers. Today in this presentation, first of all, I will describe the problems of one university English speaking class that I had before. Second, I will touch upon Dewey's experiential learning. Third, I will give my case study details. Finally, I will report to you my findings and I will conclude this presentation. Now let's get started. For 1 year, starting from April 2012, I taught a group of 20 female students at one women's university in Kanagawa, Japan, which is a suburb of Tokyo. It was a second year English speaking class, and this class met for a 90 class period once a week. Through observing this class, I came up with two concerns. First of all, the students hesitate to express themselves and speak up in front of the others. Second, I didn't recognize much interaction going on among these students. They didn't seem to care about who they were learning with besides their close friends in the class. Generally, educators in Japan often claim that students are passive about expressing themselves in class. Thus, they don't actively participate in class activities and they also lack a sense of peer learning. These are the two major concerns from a Japanese class. This particular class of mine was no exception. Therefore, I set two goals. My goals were to encourage my students to participate in the class more actively. Also to create a sense of peer learning among these students. Now, let's touch upon Dewey and his experiential learning. According to Dewey, learning is demotivating, boring, foreign, and unrelated to students. Dewey asked in his book Experience and Education in 1938 the following questions. How many students lost the impetus to learn because of the way in which learning was experienced by them? How many came to associate the learning process with ennui and boredom? How many found what they did learn so foreign to the situations of life outside the school? Dewey argued that educational activities should begin from the immediate personal and social experience of the learners. He also advised educators to use things within the range of existing experience of students that have the potentiality of presenting new problems which will encourage further experience. Therefore, educators need to carefully choose students' actual life experiences that will enhance further experiences in the future. Education should be based upon the meaningful experiences to be successful both for individual learners and communities. So I decided to conduct a case study on my class based on Dewey's experiential learning to encourage my students to take a more active role in their learning and also enhance meaningful peer learning. Now, let me give you my case study details. Okay. Again, it was a group of 20 sophomore girls of a speaking class. I developed a class portfolio making activity named Classbook, into which a series of different learning skills are incorporated using students' authentic life experiences and interests to examine how these would affect the students' learning and interaction. In this activity, students made their own biography page to share with peers, which were then compiled in a booklet as a final product at the end of the semester. So This is the actual booklet. In session 1, it's a biography making activity that the students did. This step involves reading and writing practice. I showed a sample biography to the students and went over useful vocabulary and expressions with them. Then the students worked on drafting their biography in a given form. This is the form that I gave to my students. They can write their basic information, name, birthday, hometown, major events of their life history, when they were born. They can add more by themselves. On this page, they can write their loved ones, their first moment. I started walking at what age? I had my first love at what age? In sessions 2 and 3, students visualize their biography onto 2 A4 sheets of paper, which will be called My Page. This is one example of My Page. Students put elements that they want to introduce about themselves from their biography. Then, like this, they personalize their page with photos, illustrations, and decorations, and coloring as well. As for session 4, the students picked 6 items that held a story to tell from their My Page, and then they marked and numbered the items 1 to 6 and prepared a short speech for each of their 6 items on a separate sheet. The final session, called My Story, is speaking, reading, and group activity. My students worked in small groups. The group sat together and were provided a dice. Group members put their My Pages on their table, and one member throw the dice. For example, when the dice shows 3, the student gives her speech about her item 3 marked on her My Page, and her members listen to her and ask her questions. And members take turns to talk about their stories on their My Page in this way. So this is basically how I did my case study with this class book activity. Then I conducted a post-activity survey. 17 students answered the survey. These are the questions that I asked. Questions 1 to 4. Questions 5 to 6. Questions 7 to 10. Students rated their answers on a 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being I really think so, 3 okay, with 1 being no, I don't think so at all. The respondents' reaction was quite positive. First of all, according to these 4 questions, 1 to 4, almost all the respondents got to know more about their peers and also had their peers know more about them, finding it interesting to share their personal interests and experiences with their peers without any major hesitation. In addition, these 2 questions reveal that the students were highly capable of or in favor of managing their own learning by making their own learning materials using their actual interests and experiences. As I said earlier, the students did not hesitate to share their personal life experiences, interests, and background with their peers. Rather, as questions 7 to 10 indicate, they claimed that their My Pages helped them express themselves well and learn about their classmates well as a visual guide. However, if you look at question 7 again, when it comes to using English, on one hand, speaking English turned easier for most of the students, but it's not really true to everyone in the class. Here are actual comments, some of the actual comments from the respondents. Here's more. Based on what I understand from the survey results, I admit that my initial goals of this case study were achieved to a great extent. Once again, my goals were to encourage my students to participate in the class more actively, and also to create a sense of learning together with peers among the students. In this sense, I'm pleased to conclude that this class portfolio making activity class book was highly successful. First of all, the students took advantage of their actual life experiences and interests for effective learning. Also, the students' active engagement in and responsibility of their own learning were in fact recognized. The interaction among the students greatly increased. Once again, through this activity, the students successfully used their own experiences, made their own learning materials using those experiences, learned with their peers using those learning materials, and created a sense of learning with peers. However, this case study also raised concerns for the futures. For example, more research on the effectiveness of using students' actual experiences for learning has to be done. For example, on different types and sizes of target learners to further test the validity of experiential learning. And also, I admit that my research needs more insight into how students' experiences would affect their future experiences, as Dewey insisted that educators need to use existing experience of students that can encourage further future experience. I would like to keep these tasks until my next research opportunity. Thank you for viewing my video presentation. I hope to see you someday in the future. Until then, goodbye and good luck.